I don't know about y'all, but I've been on my loneliness kick, bro, recently. I've been feeling the mode, brother, so to speak. And I don't know if that's the right use of that terminology, but recently I've just been feeling not totally like myself. If you're new here, hello. My name is Kyle, and welcome to the Cat Golf Show. Now, in this episode, I just want to sort of do a general rant. Not even a rant. I don't know why I said that. It's not a rant. It's just sort of like a general yap. I haven't done that in a while. My videos have been pretty topic oriented recently, between the Beach Boys listening stuff and just like specific world events happening that I make videos about. So I just kind of wanted to like throw all that shit out the window and sort of just do a general yap. The foundation of this channel, which was just to be my foundation to yap and to get my thoughts out there. Now, when I was younger, I actually used to do this quite frequently. I used to make vlogs. I had a tablet, a Samsung Galaxy Tab 3. I'll never forget it. I got it when I was 14 years old. I worked really hard all year long to beg my parents to convince them to buy it for me, and it worked. And I used to record little vlogs of myself, like about my life and stuff. And usually these vlogs were very sad because I was lonely and such, as I've said in previous videos when I was that age. I still have those, so I don't know if that would be an interesting thing to upload at some point, perhaps, just sort of like from the vault. Me when I was 14, 15, 16 years old, recording about my life. And I don't really like talk about anything specific, I don't think. Mostly it's about my parents being douchebags to us, like me and my siblings. Or me just being sad about like whatever situation with a girl that I was in that happened and didn't go well, or just being lonely, just ranting about being lonely, sort of. But yeah, I still have those. So it's like, let me know if you guys are interested in possibly seeing that. I may upload them, maybe not. I don't know. I'm surprised that I was able to archive all that stuff. It's just like, that's what I mean. Like, I don't have that tablet anymore, but I did like have an SD card that I preserved and all that stuff. So it's like, that's interesting to me. And I've also been keeping a daily, I don't know if I mentioned this or not. I've been keeping a daily blog is what I call it since I was 15 years old. Where basically every single day since I was 15, it's starting in September of 2015, I have kept record, at least somewhat, of what I've done day to day since then. So it's literally been 10 years now that I can't even believe that. It's crazy to say that out loud. A decade that I've been keeping track of my life, essentially. And it's crazy. I can't believe that I've done that. Every day I've written down at least something about what I've done in the day and like how I've been feeling emotionally, mentally, whatever. And I think that would be interesting as well, potentially as like a memoir. I don't know if that would be interesting or not, because most of the time it was like me ranting about work, or again about girls who didn't like me back or whatever. Just sort of kid stuff, I guess. Just lonely kids sort of stuff. Yeah, recently I've been feeling lonely again. I'm not sure that my antidepressant, I always say S, I always add an S to it, but it's just, I take one medication. I don't know that my antidepressant is working anymore. I have been on 10 milligrams of Lexapro for about a month now, I want to say. Perhaps more. I think it's been a month, maybe a month and a half. I don't have a follow-up visit with my doctor until next month. So I don't know if I'll let her know that or not. Well, yeah, I'll definitely let her know that. She's going to ask me, like, the first question is going to be, how are you feeling? And I'm going to be like, I was feeling good, and now I'm feeling bad again. But yeah, I don't know. And I also wanted to update, like, do like a revision and updates on some stuff that also I talked about in previous videos, but I'll get there. I'll get there. I just sort of like, as I'm coming up with ideas, I'm just like spewing them out, as they come off the top of my head. And that's sort of what this channel originated as. So yeah, but, I'll definitely let my doctor know that I feel like they may be not working anymore, and my dosage probably needs to go up. I've also, as far as side effects go, and this may be TMI for some people, you know what I'll talk about, but I want to be as honest and open about this as possible, because there's so much stigma around antidepressants and like medication for your mental health in general. So I just sort of want to, as someone who used to question it myself, be a bridge to people who maybe have mental health problems, who are scared to try the drug route to help alleviate some of those symptoms. So before I started taking Lexapro, I was on sertraline, Zoloft, and that was amazing. I felt really, probably the best that I felt in years mentally on that drug. The only problem is it made me so wired to the point where I couldn't sleep at night. Now, I already have insomnia, and I've mentioned this in a video before. So that was not a good thing. I was losing sleep every night, maybe 3 hours, maybe 4 if I was lucky at night. And it was, when I first started taking it, it was okay, because I'd wake up very tired, but as the day went on, I wouldn't be any more tired. So I'd feel okay during the day because the medication would sort of almost have a caffeine-like effect on me. And I don't know if that was good or not, but yeah. But as time went on, I started to feel the lack of sleep more. So I would be more irritable during the day, more tired. But my depression was gone, that sort of thing. I felt really good. But of course, I told my doctor this, and she was like, okay, well, you can't be having 3 hours of sleep a night. That's not healthy. Obviously, we want you to be doing good mentally and still be sleeping. So, Lexapro. Now, no withdrawal or anything from the sertraline when I started taking the Lexapro. It was all smooth. It was a smooth transition pretty much. But pretty much I noticed that it didn't make me feel as good. Lexapro didn't make me feel as good. Like I didn't feel energized really. And I don't think I even noticed the effects of it because I'd already built up the serotonin in my system from taking the sertraline for a month, however long I took that. So the effects of the serotonin were already circulating in my brain and such. So it's like I didn't really notice a big thing, but I did notice when I first started taking it, it would make me sort of tired. So I took it at night, and it did help me sleep. Like I have been sleeping better recently this past month than I have basically for the past 2 years, which is a good thing, I think. I've been sleeping sort of so recently, but that could be just because of life events potentially. But yeah, I've not been sleeping the best recently. But for the most part, Lexapro has not affected my sleep. It's been good for my sleep because I've been sleeping again, which is good. You know, I wake up feeling decent. I don't wake up in the morning feeling the cloud of sadness and depression. But I've noticed my sex drive is down, definitely. And this is the TMI part that I may be exploring here. But I think when I first started taking it, I didn't notice a difference. And this may be like, I think this is true across antidepressants in general. You don't notice the side effects right away, of course. I want to say the first 2 or 3 weeks that I was taking it, I didn't notice a difference really. But as time went on, as I kept taking it, I definitely think that my sex drive has plummeted. I don't know. It could, I don't know. I think I've not really had much of a sex drive recently. It's sort of concerning, sort of. I'm definitely going to bring that up to my doctor. When I, am sexually active or whatever, I don't have like an issue or anything like that, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, but it's just like the drive isn't really there. So that's interesting. I'm going to bring that up. Maybe I'm curious if that's going to make her be like, okay, let's try another one. I've just been feeling sad and lonely, and I'm like, time to do something about these time to do something about this medication, bro. But yeah, the point of that story was just like I said, bridge the gap for people who are scared to try medication. It's not as scary as you think. Sure, long-term usage is still being studied and such, but I think ultimately it is a net positive, especially for people with severe mental illness. And I don't know that I would consider myself to be severely mentally ill. I would say I'm probably moderate. I'm probably moderate mental illness. I don't know if you guys have been following the Sabrina Carpenter news. I did make a video about that a few weeks ago, maybe a week ago. And I talked about the cover of a new album. It was very controversial. In that video, I was very tired. And I did write that in the description. I was very, very tired. And I feel like I didn't articulate myself in the best way. It didn't, like, that video did not do numbers. Obviously, it did not, like, blow up or anything. Not that I was expecting it would. But, yeah, just if you've seen that video, I feel like I didn't articulate myself in the way that I wanted to, so I wanted to come on here and amend some of the things that I said. So I talked about limiting forms of freedom, limiting forms of expression that are not inherently bigoted, misogynistic, whatever ism that you want to attribute them to. So nothing that limiting freedom of expression that is not overtly hateful or bigoted in some sort of way. When it comes to the album, I said, does a woman not have agency to express her sexuality in a way that she wants? And that point stands. But I wanted to also say that women policing other women and telling them how they should or should not behave, I feel like reinforces patriarchy. That may be a controversial thing to say, because I feel like we often say that men are the biggest perpetrators of patriarchy, but we don't realize how deeply ingrained in us and in, women as well, that the patriarchy is. It's literally in every aspect of society. And it's sort of, and this may be controversial, it's sort of like that with racism too. Like, for the people in my life who are not black or who are not people of color, it's sort of, not that they're overtly racist. And I always preface this by saying, I don't think that you're a racist to my, like, white friends or whatever when I bring up, like, racial topics to them. But it's like, it's almost an uneducation on racial topics that makes you ignorant to the certain things that I'm, like, talking about. So it's like but that sort of racism and that sort of patriarchy is ingrained so deeply in society that we just sort of normalize it. So it's like, if a woman, for example, Sabrina Carpenter, posts a picture of her album and it's, it makes these women raise an eyebrow, and it's like, okay, why is she demeaning herself in this way for a man? And it's like, you don't stop to think really that, am I policing a woman in the same way that a man would be policing a woman and telling her what to wear, how to act? how not to act in certain ways as to not, you know, degrade women or whatever. And it's like, that is also reinforcing patriarchy. Like, this woman, Sabrina Carpenter, is not pandering to men. And that was a big argument that I was seeing online, is that she was pandering to men. And I was like, have you listened to her music? It's like, I feel like so much, and this is strictly online discourse. Like, if you go into real life, no one gives a shit about this. Obviously, this is online discourse. This is a YouTube channel, so I'm going to talk about online discourse. But I just feel like I feel the need to preface this every time I talk about stuff like this online, because it's like, you think that Twitter is real life, and it's absolutely not. And before I got off Twitter, that's what I really had to reckon with. Like, oh my God, I'm seeing all these controversial takes on Twitter, and then I go into the real world and bring them up, and people look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what are you talking about? We don't think that. I'm like, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, those spaces are very online spaces. So the opinions on them may not be reflected in the real world, and usually are not reflected in the real world. So I feel like if you ask a person in real life, you know, show them the cover and they're like, what do you think about this? They'll definitely be like, I don't give a shit. Like, who cares? Like, but yeah, so much of this online discourse is so divorced from context, I feel like. Something makes you outraged, like the general public sees a thing online, they get outraged, and they immediately respond to that outrage, rather than thinking and taking a moment to reflect and say, let me think what this thing is, why it upsets me, and the context around it. So it's like, that picture in and of itself, which I said before in my video, is not overtly, you know, offensive, whatever. It's not overtly negative. It's not overtly bad. But divorced from context, devoid of context, you may see that and think, okay, this is a woman who is lowering herself for a man, degrading herself to pander towards men or whatever, to sort of idealize this version of a woman that men in general think of when they think of woman. But it's like, you can take anything and do that and divorce it from its context and make it as bad as possible. And I feel like, especially in Sabrina Carpenter's case, really looking at the context of the situation, what she stands for, the type of music she makes, her fan base, all that sort of stuff is very, 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 very relevant to this album. The first single, as I said in the video, is about how men are pigs and slow, and how she doesn't like competent men, whatever. So it's like, and all of her other songs, most of her other songs, which I said I've not listened to, and I have not, are like that too. Like, I just know the lyrics, I know they've been talked about, and people like that she like makes fun of men or whatever. And now it's like, cool, whatever, do your thing, girl. But it's like, with that context in it, you'd see that it's satire, first of all, and that it's a woman expressing her sexuality ostensibly in a way that she deems fit, and that by telling her, oh, you can't do this for X, Y, and Z, is reinforcing patriarchy, telling women what they can and cannot do. It's strictly anti-feminist, in my opinion, you know, and that may offend some people, but it's like, that's how I feel that it is. And who are you? Who is this man to speak on feminist issues and such? But, you know, I agree with the feminist cause largely. You know, I agree with freedom of expression, especially online. It's like, why is it a problem? And why are you shaming this woman for expressing herself in the way that she deems fit, when this is not a man making her do this? This is her, of her own free will, choosing to express herself in this way. And I just don't see a problem with that. Like, honestly, I just don't. And it's just, that's how I view it. Although men telling women what to do is very, very bad, and very, you know, it's patriarchal. But also, women telling other women what to do and how to dress and how to behave is also patriarchy. It's also rooted in patriarchy. And that's just my take. I just wanted to clarify that a little bit. Just because I feel like I didn't articulate myself well enough in that video. I was very tired. It was at the end of a long day. So I just wanted to clarify it, specify it a little bit, clear up any confusion, any misconceptions that may have come from that video. What I also want to talk about, in relation to the loneliness sort of thing, is ghosting. Ooh. October is far away. But ghosting, it's a modern problem. And modern problems call for modern solutions. So it's just sort of like, and this is semi-relevant to me now in my life. And this, I feel like this is partially or majorly why I'm feeling so down recently. I may be going through a sort of ghost phenomenon myself. And I'm not new to this per se at all. Like, I've been ghosted plenty of times before, and I understand why people do it. Conflict is very scary. I'm not one for conflict either, believe it or not. I hate confronting people, especially people who've wronged me, because it just feels awkward. Like, if you go to a drive-thru and you get an order and they get your order wrong, I will gladly smile in the person's face, say thank you, and drive off, even though I know their order is wrong. My order is wrong. Like, I'm like, I don't want to confront this person. They probably already hate their job. I don't want to make their life worse. I don't want to make their day worse. So I'll just take it with a smile and go. You know, they gave me a thing. I paid money for a thing. Sure, it's wrong, but it's not that big of a deal. I roll on with my day. So ghosting is sort of like the best way of conflict resolution without ever having to face the conflict. Because it's like, I'm tired of talking to this person. Should I tell them? Maybe. Am I going to? Hell no. Disappear. It's the easiest thing you can do. You don't owe anyone anything. And that's what I've sort of reinforced in my brain as I've gotten back on dating apps. Since getting back on dating apps and being single again, I've gotten that in my brain because it's true. And I don't want to come off sounding like an incel when I rant about dating apps and such, just being shit shows. And I'm scared that, maybe, oh my God, is someone going to think that like I'm an incel and I think that these women owe me something? Absolutely not. I just want to preface that. Fuck incels. I absolutely do not align with that ideology whatsoever, and I don't agree with them. Thinking that women owe you something just because you look a certain way or whatever. Absolutely not. Everyone is entitled to free will. Everyone is entitled to their choices, and everyone is allowed to do basically whatever they want, so long as it's not actively causing harm to people. And ghosting, you can argue whether it causes harm, but that's a very individual thing. It's not causing mass harm to people, so whatever. But yeah, I when I talk about dating apps and such, and my complaints with them and my grievances with them, I'm like, oh my God, does this sound incel-y? But no, I don't think anyone owes me anything, especially women. I don't think they owe me anything as a man on dating apps. Absolutely not. But my frustration comes from stuff like ghosting, when it's like you talk to a person for a while, and I watched a video on this recently, just like dating apps in general, like how to like maximize your effectiveness on dating apps. It was a pretty good video. But yeah, it's sort of like if you can be talking to a person for several weeks. You could be talking to a person for several weeks, whatever, and they disappear all of a sudden. You're like, well, what the fuck did I do? Like, and it's not knowing that hurts the most, I feel like. But it's also like, if you knew, would that make you feel any better? Like, I've been ghosted before, and of course it's like whatever, and I didn't know. I just left my speculation, and it lingers long. I feel like, yeah, this is what I want. I feel like if you don't know, if you don't get a clear answer as to why you're being ghosted, like, hey, I'm just not interested in this anymore, ghost, or whatever, blocked, whatever, then you sort of just wonder. You're left wondering in this nebulous zone, like, what did I do exactly? What could I have done differently? And I feel like that happens more frequently than not. Like, no one's going to give you an explanation. They're just going to stop texting you. Now, I feel like there's a line to be drawn between bad texting and ghosting in general. So it's like, I am friends with bad texters. I have friends that are bad texters. So it's like they may take maybe a couple hours, maybe a few days to text me back, but inevitably they will. Usually, there are some extreme cases, of course. But it's always like, I wonder what the mindset is of that. And I'm going to answer my own question in a moment here, but it's like, what does it take for a person not to text you back? So I know, personally, I do this too sometimes. And it's usually with people that I don't want to talk to. If it's someone that I don't necessarily want to talk to, or maybe it's a line of conversation that I don't necessarily want to engage in, I'll leave that person undelivered for a little bit longer than I would someone who, say, was texting me about something I actually care about or want to talk to them about. So it's like, I ask myself this question. I'm like, why is this person ghosting me? What did I do? And the answer is there. Like, I have the answer. It's like, from my own experience. And this may be applicable across different people, but like in my experience, I don't respond fast when I don't want to talk to the person. So it's like, you can ask yourself, why is this person ghosting me? And then answer it yourself by saying, they clearly do not want to talk to you. My thing, and I have a huge thing on this, it's like, people are busy. The excuses that people come up with drive me up a wall. It's like, oh, people are busy. You're busy for, a week plus. You're that busy. If you tell me that, I'm thinking, okay, this person is like a CEO. They're not on their phone at all. If you tell me you're too busy to text me back, which takes, depending on the conversation, of course, like 2 seconds, then you must be fucking like solving the world hunger. You must be fucking, going to war. You must be doing something that is very, very valuable if you are not on your phone. Because in today's society, bro, you cannot tell me. I'm not convinced that people are not on their phones 24/7. I don't even have social media on my phone. I have no social media apps on my phone, and I am on my phone a lot. I haven't looked at my the fucking screen time on my iPhone recently, just because I don't have social media on my phone anymore, so I don't really care. But when I did have social media, it was like upwards of 4 hours a day usually, and I was like fucking insane. After I deleted, I think it dropped down to maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours max a day, which is still so much time of the day. You're awake for what, 12 hours, 16 hours, 2 hours out of that? I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot of time to be on your phone. And so if you're telling me most people have TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, all these, Twitter, all these other apps on their phone that they're using throughout the day. So you mean to tell me you're on all those other apps and you can't take 2 seconds to text me back? It just makes me suspicious. I'm just like, if you use that excuse, I'm busy. It doesn't sit right with me. And of course, and this always goes back, no one owes you anything. Yes, you're 100% right. I agree with people who say that. I don't need to necessarily have an excuse if I don't want to text you. Of course, you do not, and I'm not saying that people have to have an excuse, but I'm just saying using the excuse sounds shitty. It sounds even shitter than if you were just honest and said, like, I didn't feel like texting you. Dead ass, I didn't feel like texting you. I would take that better than I take, I was just busy. Busy for 2 weeks straight, busy for a week straight. Like, no, I don't believe you. I don't fucking believe you. No one is that busy. No one is that fucking busy, bro. The president of the United States tweets all the time, or fucking Truth Socials, whatever the fucking his thing is called, all the time. And he's the president, and he has time to text and fucking post shit. What do you mean you're too busy to text me back, bro? It's just like, at that point, either, I don't know. I don't even know what the solution is. This is just me ranting, I guess, because it's just been on my mind. When people stop talking to you, take it. Take it at face value. They don't want to talk to you. It's that simple. And you can go on and on in your head about the reasons as to why that is and what you did wrong. And I've been doing that. And it's just like, it doesn't really, at the end of the day, it doesn't really get you anywhere. It just sort of prolongs the misery. So it's just like, take it as it is, take it on the chin, and just keep moving forward. There's nothing you can do. You can't make someone want to talk to you. That's the thing. You can't force someone to talk to you. And it sucks, if you were talking to someone and you had a good rapport going with them and then they suddenly disappear. That is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing I can do, but there's nothing you can do about it. And like I said, it sucks, but it just is what it is, man. And this sort of segues into my next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is sort of the spirituality and that sort of thing. Like, you sort of look for meaning. It's the human in all of us to look for meaning in this sort of things. So you're like, someone starts ghosting you, you're like, okay, well, what does this mean? Oh, they weren't the one for you. Okay, fine. But it's like, why do we have to ascribe meaning to that? In my opinion, and I struggle with this sometimes. It's a thing that happens, and that's what, because I do identify with atheism. If you can identify with that, I don't believe in any gods or anything like that. That's what I'm trying to say. So I don't think that it's like there's necessarily any greater meaning to any one thing that happens to me in my life. Like, of course, it's like I said, it's the human in us to want to ascribe meaning where there may not necessarily be any meaning. So it's like that happens and you're like, okay, what does this mean? This person doesn't rock with me. Let's move on. Let's keep it rolling. And that sort of gives you, I guess it gives you a vague comfort. It's like, people who are Christian, who I feel like the only purpose to be religious is just to have hope when you die. It's just like to have hope that it's not over when you die, because death is very scary. And I think that's where all religion stems from pretty much. It's just like, it is the fear of dying and hope that death is not the end, is not final. And that's never like, life is hard enough. Life is short enough. I don't want to think about what happens after it. I want to live a good life. I want to be fulfilled in my life. I want to be happy and joyous in my life. I don't want to be thinking, no matter how miserable my life is, at least when I die, I'm going to heaven, whatever dumb bullshit that they believe in. It's just like, I say that, but I understand why they believe it. You know what I mean? Like, I can say that as an atheist and understand why people are spiritual, why people ascribe meaning to things that may not have any meaning. So like I said, this thing happens to you, you say, oh, this person's not for me, this is why, and you sort of ascribe a vague spirituality to it. And it's like, I don't want to say that I've been finding myself drawn to those types of figures, but I sort of am. It's almost like, I don't even know, like wellness, I guess, influencers, sort of. Like, I come across their content, like on YouTube specifically and such, just like how to be happier, how to, like, improve your appearance or whatever. Not fucking look maxing shit, obviously, nothing like that, but it's not that extreme. But it's just like journaling and, practicing gratefulness and all this kind of stuff that I, in theory, could see myself doing. And I guess I do, because I do keep a journal or whatever. I've said that before, but it's almost like I want to sort of buy into it, but not 100%. Like, I don't know the line to walk, because it's like, I want to practice these things, like, not manifestation, but kind of manifestation, without necessarily saying, okay, the universe is looking out for me. There is a deity or some kind of being that is listening to my requests and, like, my vibration or whatever. It's just like it gets super in the weeds, and I don't know that I buy into all that stuff. But I am for bettering myself. So journaling and aligning yourself with your goals in life, that kind of stuff, and manifesting in a general sense, in a very vague term. I am like I want to sort of believe in that stuff, but if I feel almost conflicted because I don't believe that there is a deity or there is some sort of higher power necessarily guiding me towards any one destination. I sort of just want to believe in a thing, steep myself in that thing, and make it a reality. So it's like manifestation without necessarily a deity or some kind of being to believe in to help guide me there, if that makes any sense, which it may not. But yeah, it's like I've been atheistic for years now, for probably 5 or 6 years now, and definitely I'm very opposed to organized religion. I do not agree with it. You know, my family is pretty religious, and I heavily disagree with a lot of what they believe, and just everything coming back to religion. It bugs me. It irks me. So it's like when I see this general spirituality, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing per se, because it's usually in relation to self-help and like bettering yourself and manifesting good things for yourself, which I can get behind. You know, I want to have a good life too. I just don't want to ascribe it to some, you know, God or being that has done nothing for me. You know what I mean? That really I have no actual proof exists or doesn't exist. Sorry for the fucking sirens, guys. God damn it. Anyway, as we're saying. So yeah, I stumble across this content all the time, and I'm like, I'm interested in it, but in a way that's sort of, I guess it's sort of like tepid, like foot in, half in, you know, half in, half out. And it's like, because I don't feel strongly enough about it to like dive into it fully. Or it's like, oh, practice mindfulness for 20 minutes in the morning when you wake up and write manifestations down in your journal. It's just like, it's not that deep for me. It's more of like a general thing. Like, I want to be a successful writer, for example, because I have written a novel. I don't know if I've mentioned that. I think I have. I've written a novel. I want it to be successful. I want it to generate a good amount of income for me from the people in my life, my professors and such. You know, that's a very difficult thing to do. Short of you being Stephen King, which I'm not, obviously. It's difficult to make a good amount of money off of that. But I'm like, I put a lot of work into this novel. I feel like I put more work into this novel than most contemporary writers do. And because of that, I will be rewarded for it. And that's sort of my manifestation. It's like, despite me walking that line and almost being like, I know that it's not going to I'm expecting that it's not going to happen, but I hope that it does. So I'm sort of walking the middle in between both, where I'm like teetering between, oh, it's not realistic to think that. Oh, but I'm going to keep thinking it anyway, because if I think it, then maybe it'll happen. So I don't know if that like is why my shit is not working. Because it's like, I get in my head about it all the time. I'm like, you really got to humble yourself. You got to think, you got to expect nothing. Therefore, when it happens, you'll be surprised. You'll be pleasantly surprised. And I feel like that's an awful way to live. Like, I don't want to expect the negative things to happen. I don't want to expect the worst thing to happen. You know what I mean? Like, I want to gas myself up. I want to say, no, I'm going to be successful when this thing gets published. I'm going to sign a good book deal. I'm going to maybe even sell the rights to make a movie out of it, all that kind of stuff. I want to make that a reality, and I'm going to be like, I want to be financially independent, and I want to get there. I want to, move to a better area. I want to move into a better apartment or whatever, I want that to happen, of course. And it's like, I feel like because I don't believe in it enough that it doesn't happen for me, I don't know. I literally don't know. But it's like, I also don't want to give too much weight to it because, like I said, I don't fully believe in it, and I don't know that I would ever fully buy into something like that, But I do think about it. I contemplate it. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I do think about that in a very vague sense. Like I said, nothing organized. No organized religion. I will never go back to that, and I will put my foot down on that and say that pretty starchly, is that the right staunchly? Is that the right word? I will put my foot down and say that I will never go back to like Christianity, for example. Never go back to that because I don't believe in it. I don't like what they stand for a lot of the time. So I'll never go back there. But like vague spirituality, I understand it, and I sort of align with it more so than organized religion. But yeah, that's basically all I have to say for this episode. I mean, it was pretty scattered, but it was also segmented enough to the point where I feel like you could follow along. Life, man. It's just like, I feel low energy. I feel pretty down. I'm trying to keep myself cheered up by playing Mario Kart World, and I'm having a blast with it. I'm currently doing like the knockout tours to get the 3 stars and all the cups in the knockout tour, which is a lot of fun. And I'm trying to also unlock all the costumes and stuff, which takes forever, but it's fun. It's a fun game, and I'm gonna win it up pretty soon. Then I can get back to playing Final Fantasy VII before Donkey Kong comes out next month. So I'm super excited for all that. And it's like, I've got stuff to look forward to. I do. Um, Life is not necessarily bad, but it's just like a couple circumstances that are happening that are just like, bringing me down. And I wish that they wouldn't. And I sort of, I guess I thought like by taking an antidepressant that I'd never be sad again. Not to the extent that I was. And I guess I'm not really. Like pre antidepressant me was much sadder than current me, which is pretty sad. So it's like, I still don't feel as bad as I did when I was at my worst before I started taking my antidepressants, which is good. But I thought that it would, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind me, basically erase the bad emotion, severance me, erase the bad emotion from my life. But unfortunately, that is not the case, and there's not a drug that necessarily will do that. And I sort of wish that would. Like, they were in that Discord server I was talking about before. There was a discussion going on about someone who's trying to get over their ex now. And they were like, what drugs should I do? Should I do ashwagandha and weed or whatever to get over? And then some people were like, don't do drugs, man. You got to process your emotions. And I'm like, absolutely do drugs. Do drugs to help. Because it's just like, it's, for some people, it breaks them. And it almost broke me. It almost fucking broke me. So it's like, sure, you want to process your emotions, blah, blah, whatever. The good thing is for yourself. You want to heal, whatever that looks like for you. But to get through it and make sure you stay alive, I feel like if drugs help you do that and help you get there, then fucking do it. It may not be the healthiest thing for you, but if it keeps you alive, do it. Like, I'm for life maxing. Like, stay the fuck alive. And I've kind of wanted to, I may do this. I wanted to make a video about, reasons you shouldn't, sewer slide. If you catch my drift. That's my PG way of saying it. Yeah, I've been tossing around the idea for a while now because I, recently was, well, not recently, within the earlier this year, was sort of debating that in my own brain, and I fucking made a list of reasons to live. It was like, that's how serious it was. But yeah, I kind of want to make a video of that, but I want to do it in a way that's, if I do it, I want to do it in a way that's respectful and doesn't feel like I'm pressuring someone who may be considering that into, one option. So yeah, I want to do it in a way that's tactful and tasteful and not necessarily, is gauche the right word? Would that be the right word for that? Tasteless? Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I'm gonna make that video, maybe not, I don't know. I'm working on the Beach Boys video. I have not listened to the later albums at all, just because I've been listening to the albums that I do enjoy. I have like made a best playlist, and that's what I've been working on, and that's what I've been listening to. So I do plan on getting it out sometime in the future. I said it wasn't going to take me as long to make the final one because there's only 5 albums, but I haven't even listened to one fully through yet. So expect it to come out sooner rather than later. But yeah, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Thanks for the views. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. I really appreciate it, guys. And thank you for giving me a platform to speak on. It's sort of like me continuing the legacy that I did when I was 15, just getting on and talking. It was to myself then, and now it's kind of to myself too. But some of y'all are watching. Some of y'all are listening to what I say. Maybe you guys relate. And that's my therapist really inspired me to start posting here, because she was like, what if someone relates to what you're saying? What if someone's like, I relate to that I'm going through that right now, and you help them out. And I was like, that's a great way to think about it. So hopefully I'm helping someone out with these ramblings that I have got in my brain here. But thank you so much for watching. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. Ta-ta.